Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, as well as YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, and on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT, worldwide with you, East Coast, West Coast, the Midwest, and all across the globe. We appreciate you being here, listening, and watching, and I am so happy to be picture-in-picture here with Scottie Rodgers off the air and on the air. Definitely appreciate our connection and just the person that he is and the way that he goes about his business has always been very good to me. And, it means a lot in this world of sports and beyond when you could form bonds that create friendships and even outside of working relationships are a beautiful thing. So the director of communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, appreciate it so very much that we have the opportunity here to spend some time with the man himself, Scottie Rodgers. Scottie, how are you?
Doing well today, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And Scottie, I mean, this is, it's Christmas season, but it's also, bowl season feels like a Christmas season as well. There's so many gifts under the tree. And one of those gifts being the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, a historic game that has been around for a very long time. We've spoken on the history of it. And I loved that. I mean, I love this game in and of itself and, your location. And obviously you and your staff put on a great event. But then I saw the game itself. I saw the teams that are going to be going up against each other, Tulane and USC. And I've covered Tulane for almost a decade now. So I feel very spoiled that I thought, okay, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, the game itself is going to be great. Then I saw the teams that you had to pair against each other. Your first reaction to that? I love it, but I'd love to hear what you think.
We love all the teams that come to our game. We're very proud, as you well know, we talked about this before. We're very proud of our tradition and history that we have with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. And every year we welcome teams in. This year is Tulane and Southern California. And we're just so excited to have them there. We just had both teams, administrative staffs in town earlier this week for a site visit. Most during bowl season, teams do that with their administrators so they can go to the site, go through the various things and take a look at the stadium and the hotel and other facilities that they can do events. And both of them were so excited to be here. They were so excited to come back. You got the newness of Tulane, being in a New Year's Six bowl game, New Year's Six under this iteration of what bowls are, for the first time in its school history. Obviously they have some previous history going way back with some appearances. And then USC, a team that we've had in our game previously, but as we have folks that were at USC previously when they came here, there's several folks that are new, from the administrative side. So it's great seeing old friends, and it's great making new friends and welcoming them into the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic family.
Yeah, you talk about some of this history. It's going to be the fourth matchup between Tulane and USC, and the first since 1946. So a little strange here. Normally, when we talk about multiple matchups, there's been one more recently in history. But I mean, to be the first game that USC and Tulane have played against each other since 1946, just what that means to you at the Cotton Bowl Classic. I mean, it's been what, almost 80 years since the last time they've seen each other. So pretty incredible here. The decade upon decade that have gone by. USC has a 2-1 advantage. They won in 1932 and in 1946. The Green Wave had a 27-13 victory in 1942. So in between those two wins by USC, Tulane got theirs. So Tulane's trying to make this series even at 2-2, but to have the first matchup between these two teams since 1946, like I said, what is it? Almost 80 years, just what that means to the Cotton Bowl Classic to rejoin two teams that have not crossed paths with each other in a very long time.
But then, isn't that what bowl season is about? Creating unique matchups, creating matchups that you never thought might happen. And it's based upon those two teams' success this year, with what Tulane has done as far as the turnaround they made from the season previous to the season that they had. this year is a phenomenal story. And USC, one of the top 5 programs in all of college football when it comes to bowl appearances and bowl wins, and the fact that they're continuing their history. We all saw that their season didn't quite end the way that they wanted it to, but that doesn't mean they can't cap off their season in a way that could be a positive for them, especially when you talk about a program that is under the leadership of a new staff for the first year. So this is a great matchup in the sense of in today's college football picture. I was just reading, I saw on social media the other day, Ross Dellinger from SI had put out a list, and he listed our matchup as the 4th most intriguing matchup in this bowl season lineup. And I thought that says something about our bowl game. We're not a part of the CFP playoff games this year, but that just tells you how intriguing this matchup is. For these programs in particular, and these 2 teams in particular, what they've done this particular season.
Yeah, and you have some history in the Cotton Bowl Classic with USC. This is going to be their 3rd. So they played up against Texas Tech, and in that game, won 55-14. That was the 59th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic game, January 2nd, 1995. And then they lost to Ohio State 24-7 in the 82nd Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, I should say, the 82nd game that was played December 29th, 2017. And this is going to be the first one for Tulane. And like you talked about, its first New Year's 6 appearance as that designation came to fruition in 2014 when we started talking about New Year's 6. So just what you could say about that, having some history, and just a few years ago, 5 years ago, with USC. So having a little bit of history with them as they go to their 3rd, and then knowing that Tulane is going to make history in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and it'll be the first time the Green Wave have rolled in ever to your stadium and your arena and your opportunity.
I have a unique history with both of these programs. One with USC, when they came into that 82nd Classic, I was one of the media operations team members who came in for bowl week, and during that week, my responsibility was working with USC, so I got to know some of those folks. Like I said before, some are still there and some are new, so it's going to be it was good reconnecting, and we'll see a lot more of them when they come in town for bowl week. And then I worked at Tulane University for a couple of years, or really like a year and a half, in 2016, 2017, got to work the first 2 seasons under with Willie Fritz as the head coach, and in my role as an associate AD for strategic communications. So worked very closely with the football program. So for me, it's a unique opportunity to be a part of these 2 programs coming together in this bowl game. Excited for the seasons that they had, excited for this matchup, and just excited to see the enthusiasm. I mean, you can't take it for granted getting to this point. You can't take it for granted getting to a New Year's 6, and I don't think any one of these teams do. That was definitely the vibe that we got as they came into town, as we continue to communicate with them with the emails and the texts and the phone calls here as we're deep into the planning and making sure that we have everything as buttoned up and as ready to go when they hit town, that they can come in and have a bowl experience, because this is something that the student athletes, coaches, administrators, fans, alumni are going to be talking about for years. This is an experience, and we want to make sure that the days that they're here in North Texas, that they can go back and say, you know what, that was a great experience. Whether the team wins or whether the team doesn't win, we want to make sure that they know that they have that feeling with them, that they take with them, that we that they enjoyed a tremendous experience with all the things that we have to offer here in North Texas.
Coming here from Scottie Rodgers, the director of communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Scottie, looking at this, USC was in the Pac-12 championship game and was defeated by Utah. Utah's played spoiler to Oregon and USC in back-to-back years, with opportunities that those teams could have had of being in the college football playoff. and being one of those four teams. USC very well this year could have been one of those four. And then Tulane took care of business, and their second time around against UCF were able to best them after losing to them on a season that was almost complete without a blemish. So when you look at how Tulane got here with them avenging their loss to UCF, and really just having, as you alluded to, an incredible turnaround from last season to this season, which shows that, you know, what that team was. And I talk about it with Willie, Fritz, a bunch throughout, and Mike Oresco, the commissioner of the American, talked about it as well, that those records can be deceiving with some of these teams and how close they played games. And Tulane's going up against, you know, teams in Oklahoma they call the Big 12 home, and they're hanging tough with those teams and doing some really great things here. They may not amount to a win at the end, but if you watch those games and see the level of competition they're putting out there, Tulane brings a lot to this table. And USC is a team that very well could have been playing, like I said, in the college football playoff. So you don't just have a New Year's Six game. You got a really strong Tulane team that closed out games that they didn't close out last year. And you got a USC team that was vying to be in the top four.
Absolutely. So that just makes the matchup even more intriguing. That just makes the matchup even more exciting. And I would put out there to the fans in the area of North Texas, you don't have to be a Tulane fan or USC fan. I say get out. If you're a college football fan, get to AT&T Stadium on January 2nd and come check out the game, because you're going to see a great matchup. You know, you're going to see All-Americans in that game. You might even see, as obviously he's been named one of the Heisman finalists, and Caleb Williams, you may see a Heisman Trophy winner in the game. And you're going to see, all-stars. The award shows are coming up here. You know, as you know, this week right here, right now, we're in awards week when it comes to all the various awards that come out and All-America teams that come out. So it's going to be really exciting to see the matchup and see those teams play. Look, you talk about Tulane season. Tulane won at a Kansas State, who, we had in our building, in a game that was electric, with beating TCU, undefeated at the time, in overtime in the Big 12 championship game. That's a team, the team that's coming to play in this game beat that team on their home field. And then USC, obviously their season was, they were just this close from being in the top four. Obviously losing to Utah, the times that they did really kept them out of that top four. But you talk about, if you watch that game, that game was dealt with injuries, dealt with some adversity in that game, but USC kept fighting. And I think, they say fight on there. So I think that's exactly what they're going to do when they get here. They're going to be fighting. They're not going to come in here looking to just be here. They're going to come here with the same fight that they've had all year long. And so is Tulane. You put that together, the matchup is just going to be, I think, electric and exciting, and it's going to be something worth seeing.
And USC head coach is no stranger, obviously, to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic game. He was there a couple of years ago, December 30th, 2020, in the 85th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic game, and a 55-20 win for Oklahoma over Florida. Obviously, you've been with the Cotton Bowl for a while, so your interaction with Lincoln Riley and your thoughts about getting him back in the building.
We dealt with them when he was at Oklahoma, not only through the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, but Big 12 championship game as well, which is hosted in our building. Lincoln has a unique distinction of being, part of that game in 2020. That was the COVID year. That was a very unique game. The fact that we were able to get to the point to even have a bowl game in their game against Florida was big. We had to do some unique things, put teams in the same hotel, and all the protocols that we were dealing with at that time. And luckily, knock on wood, we're at a place where we don't have to do all that. We still have to be very careful, but we don't have to do the things that we had to do, just going back 2 short years ago. So I just think it's good to have someone that's familiar with the game. Our coaches, one of the many things that's great about our game are the personalities, whether it's the players, whether it's the coaches, whether it's folks on our boards, the people in our city, those that give so much to us. And it's always great to welcome back someone who is a fan of our bowl game, and someone who is doing the things that he's doing now at his second program to bring back to our game. So it's exciting. But like I said before, to have Willie, Fritz, and the Green Wave here, it's a cool opportunity to see that as well. So you love seeing your old friends, and you love making your new friends. So it's we're excited about that, and I'm just ready to get them in town and let them enjoy the bowl experience. I think that's one of the things that we want to continue to drive home with what we do. The bowl experience is so important. The game is absolutely paramount. That is first and foremost. But the activities they're able to do in the community with each other, practicing at AT&T Stadium, and obviously ultimately playing at AT&T Stadium. Again, are memories that they'll last them a lifetime. Some of them may come back to AT&T Stadium when their careers, go to the next level, and they come back and they play for an NFL team. But for this bowl experience, we're just excited for them to get here and get going and really enjoy what we have to offer here with the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
Scottie Rodgers, Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic Director of Communications. Scottie, looking at this game and knowing what you have in connection with the college football playoff as it stands at 4, the New Year's 6 bowls, you're part of that rotation. So last year, you had the opportunity, and I had the wonderful opportunity of getting to cover Alabama and Cincinnati, a team I've had for just about a decade as well. And seeing that rotation in the semifinal, and now with the expansion of the playoff to 12, we're going to see in 2024 that the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic continues to be a part of this, and that you'll host a quarterfinal round game, you'll host a semifinal round as well. And when we break it down and look at the official look at 2024, you and the Orange Bowl will have the playoff semifinals, and then in 2025, you'll be hosting one of the quarterfinal games in the new format. What does it mean to you that the College Football Playoff selected the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic as one of the games that they felt was most meaningful to be a part of this rotation the first time around, and that now that they're expanding to 12, they've not only picked you once, but they've picked you again? So just what that says about the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
Well, it means a lot to our staff, led by Rick Baker, who is our president and CEO. But it also means a lot for so many people in and around the North Texas community, because what we do at our bowl game is we work on it and we talk about it every day, but we have hundreds of people across the North Texas and around the country, frankly, that come in and help us do what we do and make our bowl game the unique bowl experience and one of the premier postseason experiences out there. And it's rewarding for us to get the nod from the CFP and their management group to say that this bowl game represents what we want to have and the opportunities we want to bring to those student athletes, those programs, those coaches, when they are playing in an expanded playoff that is going to be something unique. Obviously, football is very different than basketball, but you can obviously look at the similarities that you have when you're talking about now you're talking about a championship in football that's going to be a 4-weekend championship with first rounds, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the national championship. That's going to be a unique opportunity for college football to do something that's never done before, but yet also within that maintain the integrity of the bowl experience, which is very, very important to college football. College football, I don't know. The bowl experience is something that's just unique. Yeah. It wouldn't work in it wouldn't work in basketball. It wouldn't work in some of these other different sports. It's just very unique to college football, and the balance of evolving the sport, but yet keeping its traditions and some of its traditional structure in place, I think was a dance that has to happen, and we're so glad that it is going to happen for many, many years to come.
Yeah, and now being a part of the four-team college football playoff, you're in that rotation, and then you're in that year six outside of the rotation. With the expansion at 12, you're always going to be in it. So what does that do for the planning and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic moving forward, knowing that starting off in 2024, between quarterfinal and semifinal, you're just living in that world. You're not rotating in and out, you're staying in the whole time.
It just makes every single game will be even more heightened because it's part of a playoff. It's a part of a quote unquote tournament. So that means every year that game is going to have a significance on what's going to happen in the national championship. That's significant. And that just means that we're going to be able to continue to take the things that we do and take it up to the next level. Because like you said, every year the game that we will be hosting will be a part of that playoff experience. And it's exciting to think, and it's going to give us some new opportunities to look at things a little differently, and forge forward in that way, while at the same token making sure we stay tried and true to the things that make us special and make our game special and unique from the others.
That coming here from Scottie Rodgers, the director of communications for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Scottie, before I let you go, you had mentioned the experience, the different events that they get to do. We know there's gifts that come with bowl games and whatnot. What can you tell us of the gifts that might be going the student athletes' way to the different plans on the schedule? What can you let us know about how the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic is going to be uniquely in and of itself special in this bowl season?
I can't give you all of our secret sauce. I can't do
I
all of it.
always try. I have
Yeah,
to.
you always try, but can't give always all the ingredients to the secret sauce. But the biggest thing that we try to do, one thing that we do in our game, our focus, our one of our main focus points is on the teams and the hospitality that they have when they're in town.
Yeah.
From their student athletes to their administrators to their coaches, we try to make sure that the people affiliated with the university have an experience that they can enjoy, starting with the things that we have with their hospitality at the hotels to some of the team centric events that they get to do that's just within their group. And I think that's really important for them to have that time to share with themselves. We also do some things so that it can be out in the community. This year, we're happy to be able to bring back the opportunity for both teams to go visit our two of our primary children's hospitals in the area. They'll go each on a separate day, and each at two different hospitals. They will go and have roughly a 60-minute experience, interacting with these families and these young kids who are recovering from various surgeries or healing from various ailments that they're dealing with. And it's just an opportunity to put a smile on the face of someone who really needs it. And it also gives them an opportunity to make an impact, even more directly to something here in North Texas. And that's really good. And beyond that, we have fan events, whether it's the Goodyear Hole Up Fan Fest or the Battle of the Bands or Cotton Bowl Live presented by Dr. Pepper. Those three in particular, days before the game, and then events that we're having, we're doing a new event this year in our stadium club for fans, and it's out there, our Tall Cotton tailgate that's going to happen at the stadium club. That's a new event, VIP event where people can purchase tickets to get that, so you can go in and enjoy a pregame opportunity that we haven't had before. So we're really trying to create opportunities not only for the student athletes and the administrators and the coaches. Obviously, their focus, a lot of times on the game, and frankly, their hospitality has I say a parameter on it, because they want to make sure they have a fun, have a good time, but they're here to work too. We make, and with that, we try to make sure that their experience at the stadium, when they come to practice, they have everything that they need to do their practices the way they want to get prepared for the game. So they have everything that they need. They understand what we can help them with. We're really big on being able to provide them help so that they don't have to do every single thing on their own. We can do many things to assist them, to complement what they're doing, and then that way their bowl experience is as easy as possible, so they can enjoy the enjoyable parts of it, and they can get done with the work part of it as well when it comes to practice and ultimately getting ready for game day.
Yeah, and in the background, Scotty, I want to commend you for some things that go beyond the bowl, racial and social justice initiative planning committee that you've been a part of, diversity and inclusion committee as well, and Black College Sports Information Directors Leadership Council. You've had a lot of wonderful places that you've been able to work in a country that is, has a lot of diversity, but not a lot of inclusion and not a lot of justice. Just how important all of these pieces are to you and what they mean to you and why you wanted to be on these committees and how you're making sure that these committees aren't just talk, but that there's actually action being taken from this.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate you bringing it out. And many of those committees that you just mentioned are affiliated with College Sports Communicators, formerly known as COSIDA. As you know, at the start of this academic year, had a rebrand. I've been fortunate enough, whether it's here through my work here at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic and the D&I initiatives that we've taken, but I made the commitment to be a D&I advocate. I'm no knowledgeable person. I'm not somebody that can get in front of a room and tell everybody exactly what to do. I'm just trying to do my part as a person in the business and trying to get our business to grow. You mentioned our racial social justice initiative with CSC, and we were able to get some critical dollars and support from the Knight Commission on Collegiate Athletics that has helped us create a fellowship. We're actually in the second year of that fellowship, and last year we had 16. This year we had 18 members of CSC who are a part of that, and giving them tools and spaces to talk about DEI initiatives and what can they do, on their respective campuses, conference offices, organizations. What can they do to just be more impactful in that space? Because a lot of people want to be impactful and they just don't know how. And I think sometimes giving them a space to be vulnerable, a space that they can have that conversation, a space where they can learn. I think that's really important, whether that's through CSC, you mentioned BC Cider. We had a, unfortunate loss with Eric Moore, who's the longtime executive director of BC Cider. He just left us here a little over a month ago. That's a sad time for us, because Eric was a champion for not only, as he always said, not only for those who are in the HBCU spaces, but people like me who are Black in the business of college athletics communication. So we're really sad to have him leave us, but he left the legacy that many of us will pick up and carry on and moving forward. So, and then here in North Texas, I'm on the executive board of Black Sports Professionals North Texas. BSP is a national organization, and our North Texas chapter is very vibrant, very active with what we do as far as connecting Black sports professionals here across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So with all of that, and a regular job, it's exciting to be able to do those types of things, because it all comes in together. Honestly, it really comes in together. And I see some of these student athletes, especially football, these days, and they, during their bowl experience, and they look and they ask you, well, what do you do? Even when and you explain it to them a little bit, and and every now and again somebody will follow up and send you that email after a game, or after you see them at some sort of event. And I've done tens of Zooms with student athletes talking about as they're trying to figure out their next step in the career. And I'm happy to do that, because it's really important for them to know that being in the world of sports doesn't necessarily always lend itself to you being on the field of play. You can do so many other things, just like you're doing, Dan, right now, being, having your own podcast, having your own media portal in which you can talk about sports in the way that you want to. And there's so many other avenues that, as we both know, that they can go through. And it's exciting to do that. But, given the opportunity to try to be as inclusive as we possibly can in this sports space is really important. And I'm just one person that's trying to do my little part to make that a better place and a positive place for what we're doing. So I really appreciate you bringing it up and giving me a little bit of a forum to talk about that.
Yeah, and to go off of that, how can we do this in daily life? And I think that there's a misconception, right? Because I have Italian and Hispanic background, so you talk about different things doing for Black professionals, but that doesn't exclude someone that is Caucasian or Hispanic or something like that. To speak to that as we look to build up people that have been suppressed over time, then that doesn't mean we're finding a new person to suppress, right? We're trying to build everybody up and get everybody on equal footing. Just the importance of that message, because I feel like when people hear certain groups or certain messages or certain opportunities, they say, okay, well, I'm excluded from this, but what about that? Where I think that, things that you're a part of and that I try to work with are to build up people that have felt pushed down, but that doesn't mean that there's a new person to push down.
Absolutely. We're trying to break down all those walls and not push anybody anywhere but up.
Yep.
That's where the pushing needs to go. Up and out. And when I say out, out in the world so that they can do and be engaged. Diversity, a lot of times when you hear diversity or DEI, you look at the person that maybe looks like a minority or is a minority in the space that you're talking about. But everybody, all backgrounds, all walks of life can be a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. You don't have to be someone that is a part of the oppressed group or a part of the organization that's being pushed down, whatever the case may be. We all can be advocates, and I think we got to make sure that we give each other grace and give each other the opportunity to do that, because not all minorities is something that you can see. I walk in a room and people can see that I'm a minority. You can see it. You may walk in a room, Dan, they may not be able to quote unquote see it when they look at you. They may not be able to tell it when you talk. They may not be able to do that, but you represent that. You represent a minority group, and I think that's really important. Sometimes you gotta get to know the person to know what they're representing and where they're coming from. And then I don't know everything about all the different groups, so I can't represent. As a DEI advocate, I can't represent them all, but what I can try to do is give as many different diverse groups the space to talk about it, and then we come together, and then together we do some things to help the greater good. So I think that's where it really comes in with me. To be totally honest with you, I don't really want to ever sit in any spaces with what I'm doing and say that I can sit in your shoes and know, because you can't sit in mine and know. But if we sit together with an open mind and a good conscious effort to collaborate, then we can do some really good things together, and we can help those others. So if we can work together to help someone, then we can, that person, it's always, play it forward. That's a simple phrase. If you can play it forward sometimes, and if somebody's done something great for you, you take the opportunity and do it for someone else. And if we can keep that chain going, I think it's important. And that's within the spaces that we're in, whether it's organizations, whether it's in our communities. I think that's really important. And that's just what I'm trying to do through the forums and the opportunities that I have, professionally and personally.
Yeah, it's going off of what you said. It's you know I don't know what you don't know what I know, but working together we can get to know. And to have that, right, to have that opportunity to be champions for the person next to you, and to really realize that we all come from the same place. And in my belief system, I mean, we come from the same maker. We look different, we talk different, we have different money and different this, that, and whatever, different languages, different religions, but we all come to the table. And sports is a beautiful world. And I've said it before, and I can't take credit for it because it was said to me. But if the world started to act like a huddle did in football, how this world would change for the better. Because within that huddle, you might have different sexual orientations, religions, nationalities, backgrounds, languages, colors, yet they all work together to get that ball down the field and play it forward. as you said. So if the world could just be a huddle with in a 2-minute drill going down that line, trying to figure out how to get into the end zone, or in a bowl game, knowing, okay, we need this 2-point conversion. If we could act like a huddle, then we could change a lot of things. And it's not, it's not that crazy to think change the world for the better. How can you? If each person did one good deed a day, then that domino effect could really very quickly make this world look like a totally different place. So I appreciate what you're doing for that, Scottie. And you and I, on a deeper level than football, have talked about a lot of things. And I appreciate the fact that you're trying to build people up. You're trying to push them up and out into the world, like you said, because we need that. And good people working together, that's how you drown out the hate. That's how you defeat it. That's how you become the instrument of change, is by working together in a peaceful and positive way. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well said. I can't say it any better than that. I would just add to is that we just have to continue to keep pushing. Like you said, that I love that huddle concept. I'm definitely going to take that one from you, who you took from someone else, because I really do believe that, because sports has really been a place where many barriers were taken down, going back to some of the most difficult times in our history as a country. Sports was a place where those barriers didn't exist as much. They did exist to a certain degree, but they didn't exist as much. And sports was used in many cases to break down barriers, as we all well know, with the history of what's happened, not only on the collegiate level, but the professional and international sports level as well. So, just to bring this back, I'm excited for bowl season, for all of our bowl brethren out there. Good luck to all of them and all their bowl games. We're excited about what's going on with the 87th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and can't wait to get Tulane and USC here, and get this show on the road and really get going. So everybody come check us out. It's going to be like no other, that's for sure.
87th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Monday, January 2nd, the day after that, after New Year's, right after that ball drops. You got a place to be. Monday, January 2nd, noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can also watch it on ESPN, but I think you should be there on site, on location. As always, Scottie, thank you for your time, and thank you for all that you do, and thank you for our connection. I have very much valued my time with you, and from a simple text message to a conversation on the show, I appreciate it all. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me on.